other countries. When I do business in, and I won't mention countries, in certain countries, I don't necessarily know whether the contract that I've signed will be upheld or not. One of the reasons you do business with the U.S., one of the reasons why so many companies around the world do business in this country is, if you sign a contract with a U.S. company, you believe that contract is valid.
But the problem is when a company does so great of
Our
nationalization,
contract as voters, this is what I don't understand. Back in October, when Paulson just suddenly up and said, oh, we have to have this money, we have to have it right now. I called and sent faxes and sent emails to Speaker Pelosi, to Senator Dodd, everybody saying, if it has to be done, it has to be done, but we need the American way of checks and balances. And somehow, that all got totally disregarded. I thought that as an American citizen that I could rely on our government having checks and balances in everything that they would pass. And this is what I just don't understand.
Representative Hines, I want to congratulate you because you really got to Washington and learned the Washington way. You have mentioned one name as a possible person responsible for the several problems that we have. Our stimulus bill, so on and so forth. Do you understand that Senator Dodd, Barney Franks, and all those other people who were in Washington before you are the cause also? Maybe private industry did some things wrong. However, they were forced by the laws which the Democrats, who were responsible since 2006, forced on. And the laws before that, where they tried to stop various things. So, I just want to ask you, please, I asked this of Senator Dodd on the floor. I asked it of Representative Hines on the floor. I asked it of Chris Murphy on the floor. Would you please stop indebting my children and grandchildren? You have mortgaged their future so far. Stop. Think things out. Read the stuff you're passing on us. It's ridiculous for you to say, and Senator Dodd said the same thing to me privately, though, because he cut off any public conversation with me. But Representative Hines admitted in public, and the presenters of the programs. No, Courtney, excuse me. I apologize. I got emotional. No, I apologize because I'm upset. And I'm upset because they said they would take it back before these things were passed. They would think about it. But then they went back and just voted it in. What you're doing yourself, and I understand you're a sincere person, and you're a first-time congressman, but it's time that people stand up and say what they do and do what they say. And if you just roll over, which you have done to date, then you're going to become just like the rest of them. How did he roll over? He voted for the bill.
He voted for it.
He voted for the bill. He voted
for it.
for last week's bill.
Let me respond.
So there's just like John Terry. I voted for it, against it.
There's two things I'd like to respond to. You actually had two things. I did vote for the stimulus bill, and I said that right up front. I told you I was proud I did. Vote against me if you like. That's your right. And I explained to you why.
But you didn't read it.
What?
You didn't read it, though. You didn't read it. You didn't read it. You didn't read it.
Let him answer the question. What do you have to say?
And I told you that over the 5-week period, I'm not looking to escape accountability here. That bill, and I'll say what I said when I opened up, was that bill was drafted and in existence for 5 weeks. And over 5 weeks, you can read 1,100 pages. And I did. Can I tell you that I know what's on page 790? No, but I did read. The votes I have taken, I didn't roll over to anybody. I thought them through. And 2 years from now, you'll decide whether you're comfortable with how I voted. You raised another very important issue, and I do want to come back to the point of accountability and checks and balances, because I don't want it to get lost. And that is indebting. And we got a round of applause around the notion that we're indebting our kids. And I agree with you. And I went into the stimulus bill, which I will say again, I voted for happily because it was necessary for our economy to get started again, thinking this is going to pile another $1 trillion in debt on top of the $5 trillion that we accumulated in the last 8 years and the $4 trillion that was existing previously. So I thought about it very seriously. And I told you that I listened to economists from the left and the right who said, don't worry about the debt right now, worry about the fact that you may not have an economy next year. If you don't have an economy next year, paying off the debt is that was my way of thinking about it. Now, the president's budget, to my way of thinking, is both visionary. You know, he wants to reform healthcare. He wants to, let me finish my thought here, and I'm going to ask you a question. And it runs a lot of deficits that make me very uncomfortable. And I'm going to push that in Washington. I think we need to see a point in the future where the government is balancing its books. But if you want me to take $500 billion out of, or to fight to take $500 billion out of that budget, I need your suggestions on how to do that. You need to tell me that healthcare reform is not important to you, that energy reform is not important to you, that you want to cut our military by 30%. You need to tell me how you can do that.
Drill for oil, number one. Drill. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
That's one. We don't need all these other things which are green.
Oh, you're crazy.
Global warming is a farce.
Oh, come on.
Okay?
That's true. It's true. It's true.
Okay. Okay. I want to make sure everybody... Yeah.
Sorry. Just go back to Washington and be thoughtful. Put the stuff up on the internet so people can read it and digest it. Don't jam it down our throats in 3 or 4 days. And please, yes, you did read these bills prior to, but you didn't read the final copy. None of the people did. Okay? And we have the process and the other thing. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm going to come over here. If I could just very quickly respond. Your accountability point is a very, you asked, are there not checks and balances? Generally, yes.
Well, in the TARP, there aren't.
Right.
It says the Treasury Secretary can do as he sees fit. That's what the TARP said.
That's exactly right. Let me make a broader point, a narrower point, and then we'll move on over here. Generally, I have a lot of confidence in the systems of checks and balances that exist within our government. If I didn't think on Thursday that we were at the start of a discussion around how we control bonuses within the TARP, if I didn't think that that was the start of a discussion that includes the Senate, that includes the President, I wouldn't have voted for the bill. But I have confidence that there are checks and balances that mean that we've started a discussion. The TARP, you were exactly right about that. You know, the last Congress handed to President Bush and Hank Paulson it was actually $350 billion. They only got the first half. No strings attached. But it was no strings attached. Absolutely. And it was a mistake, and I think Congress and the President have realized it. And one of the things, you may disagree with the stimulus plan, but one of the things that is happening that is historically unprecedented is that every dollar that will be spent on the stimulus plan, you can go have a look at it on recovery.gov. You're going to bet you're going to find some silly stuff down there, but you're going to find it. So I think there was some learning from what happened 6 months ago in the way that the President formulated the stimulus and the accountability and the transparency thereof.